Welcome to the YouTube channel Bookworm. Today we will listen to a brief retelling of the following book, The Call of the Ancestors by Jack London. In a nutshell, Canada, late 19th century. A domestic dog gets from the warm south into the conditions of the cruel north. It awakens the instincts of a predator, which helps to survive and protect itself. To primitive life. Dog Back, born of a street Bernard and a Scottish Shepherd, did not read the newspapers and did not know that thousands of people rushed to the north in search of gold and therefore now made large breed dogs suitable for hard work. Back lived in Judge Miller's mansion, warmed himself by the fireplace at the feet of the owner, went hunting with his sons, played with the judge's grandchildren. So the life of the dog went on until the gardener, a passionate lottery player with a small salary, sold the gullible Buck to a man at the station. People have never treated Beck so cruelly. First a rope around the neck, then a cage. The dog passed from hand to hand, did not eat or drink for 2 days. When he is freed by the man in the red sweater, Buck unleashes his fury on him, but the man deflects the dog's attacks with a club. Bake is defeated, he knows it. The dog obeys the new owner, but does not fawn on him like other imported dogs. Beck is bought by Perrault and the half-breed Francois to transport government mail. They turned out to be fair and calm people. Dogs were punished only for wrongdoing. Law of Club and Fang. The first day on the beach at Daya seemed like a terrible nightmare to Beck. The local dogs fought like real wolves. The way the leader Spitz tore apart the good-natured Newfoundland was a harsh lesson for Beck. So this is what life is like. There is no place for honesty and justice in it. Who fell, that's the end. So you have to hold on tight. From that moment on, Beck came to hate Spitz with a cruel, mortal hatred. Buck, along with other dogs, is harnessed to the sled. If the dog was knocked off his feet, Dave or Spitz would bite him with their teeth, and Francois would achieve order with a whip. Buck is a fast learner. The work is hard, but the dog does not feel disgust for it. He notes how the gloomy dogs Dave and Solix changed in the team. It seemed this work was the highest expression of their being. Dogs work hard and get very tired. Buck learns another lesson. You have to eat fast, otherwise the other dogs will throw up the ration and he will remain hungry. Beck has also learned to steal food and get away with it. He's running wild. It revives the past of his forgotten ancestors. The primeval beast has triumphed. Beck does not hit Spitz first, but the opponent constantly provokes him into a fight. One day, Spitz occupies a hole dug by Beck in the snow. The beast spoke in him. He lunged at Spitz with a fury that both of them hadn't expected. But the fight is interrupted by 100 hungry dogs who smelled food and attacked the camp. A fight breaks out between the sled dogs and the alien dogs. Beck becomes a cunning, power-hungry dog, striving for superiority. He wants to become a leader and undermines the authority of Spitz in the team. Only Dave and Solix remain calm and still work together. Somehow one dog misses a hare and the whole pack rushes in pursuit. Primal instincts wake up in Beck. He runs ahead of everyone. The cunning Spitz runs across the hare and, having overtaken it first, plunges his teeth into the back of the animal. Beck felt that the decisive moment had come, that this fight would be not for life, but for death. The advantage is clearly on the side of Spitz. He manages to bite Beck and deftly bounce. All attacks of the bloody Beck are unsuccessful. At the last moment, he changes the maneuver. Having deceived the opponent, Beck gnaws 2 of Spitz's paws. The enemy has been defeated. Who won the fight for the championship? The next morning, Francois discovers that Spitz is gone. After examining Beck's wounds, he realizes what happened. Isn't it true that 2 devils are sitting in this Beck? Now the fighting is over, Perrault and Francois think. The dog, by its behavior, seeks the place of the leader from Francois. He quickly subjugates everyone else. Dogs make a record run. Dogs are sold to a half-breed Scot. Now they work day after day. pulling sledges with heavy luggage. Beck is not homesick. Instincts spoke powerfully in him. When Beck rests by the fire, he sees not modern people. Before him appears the image of a short-legged man with long arms. His hair was long and tousled. His skull was slanted from the very eyes to the crown of the head. He was almost naked, only a skin dangled on his back, torn and warped by fire. Labors and hardships of the way. The owner with Beck's team arrives in Skagway. The dogs were exhausted and utterly exhausted. The dogs are sold to Americans Charles and Hal. There was a woman with them, Mercedes, Charles's wife and Hal's sister, a capricious, pampered beauty. These three are absolutely not adapted to the conditions of the North. They have an unbearable load on the sled for dogs. They do not know how to handle animals. In addition, they do not listen to the advice of experienced people. On the way, dog food runs out quickly. Searchers move slowly, often quarreling. The dogs are dying of exhaustion and hunger one by one. So they came to the camp of John Thornton at the mouth of the White River. Thornton explains that it is already spring, the ice is about to break, and travelers should not go further. It is very dangerous. But they don't listen to him. Hal whips the dogs to make them walk. Only Buck doesn't move or make any attempt to get up, which infuriates Hal. The guy takes the cudgel. John comes to Beck's defense. A fight breaks out between Thornton and Hal, and the guy retreats. Beck stays with his protector. Sledges descend on the river ice, but soon the patch of ice below them subsides and people and dogs hide under the water. Out of love for a person, Thornton takes care of the dog. For the first time, Beck knew love true and passionate. He had never loved anyone so much in the house of Judge Miller. Only John Thornton was destined to awaken in him an ardent love adoration, passionate to madness. Thornton took care of the dogs, like a father takes care of children. That was his nature. Returning companions John, Hans, and Pete, the dog indulgently endures because of his master, as if out of mercy, accepts their courtesies. Watching Beck's devotion, Pete once said to John, "Yeah, I would not want to be in the place of a man who tries to touch you in front of him." Pete was right. Once in a bar, John tried to stop an argument, but one of the participants hit him. Beck instantly pounced on the offender, having managed to bite through his neck. In the fall of that year, Beck rescues Thornton. John's boat capsized. Thornton was carried away by the current to the most dangerous place of the rapids, where every swimmer was in danger of death. But Buck, tied with a rope by Pete and Hans, pulls out the owner. During the winter in Dawson, Beck brings John $1,600. The bet was that the dog would carry 1,000 pounds and walk 100 yards, and Buck did it. The call is heard. Thornton and his comrades go in search of gold to the east. After long wanderings, people find a surface placer in a wide valley. Here they washed thousands of dollars of pure gold sand and nuggets in a day, and worked every day. One night, Buck hears a call, a long howl. It sounded familiar to Buck. Yes, he'd heard it before. In an open meadow, the dog sees a skinny wolf. The wolf ran away from Buck for a long time, but realizing that the dog does not threaten him, he ceases to be afraid. They sniff friendly. Beck was in a wild rapture. Now he knew that he was running next to his forest brother, exactly where the powerful call came from, which he heard in a dream and in reality. Already in the afternoon, the dog remembered Thornton and returned to the camp. But the call continued to sound more insistently in his ears. By the river, he kills a bear. He craved large prey, and soon he succeeds in repelling the old leader of the elks from the herd. Beck hunted the elk for several days, until it weakened. The dog remembers John Thornton and races back to camp. On the way, Beck felt more and more strongly about something new, disturbing. Near the camp, he finds the dead dogs of John and the murdered Hans and Pete. Ekids are dancing around the hut. Beck lost his head, and it was his great love for John Thornton that was to blame. The dog, like a living hurricane, flew into the Ikits, mad with a thirst for revenge. He gnaws the throats of the Indians and tears them apart. The Ikits rush to run in terror. John Back did not find the body. Traces of his struggle led to the pond and ended there. John Thornton is dead. The last bonds were broken. People with their claims and rights no longer existed for Bake. He joins the wolf pack.